Everyone, welcome to Marginal Support. I am Andre Lindy, and as we all know, at Marginal Support supports anything but marginal. I am back for another show, and I'm honored to have, I think, probably one of the better podcasts going around right now in terms of how people talk, how we're interacting with the AI and whatnot. The host of the Human Protocol. Please introduce yourself, tell us a little about yourself, whatever you feel like you want to say.
Yeah, thank you, Andre. It's great to finally be able to kind of be with you on the podcast and also get to know you a little bit more. So I appreciate the invitation and to share a little bit about myself with you and your audience. So I'm Mykel Solomon. On the personal side, I was born in Cuba, raised in Brazil, but Miami is really home. That's what home is for the past 18 years since I got here in the United States from Brazil. And that's where my family is and all the good stuff. And on the professional side, I really started back in 2004. That was my first time in tech, always on the customer support side of things. And since then, I've been in different roles, of course, as many of us. We started as an individual contributor. I was very technical, doing software deployment at some point. I've worked in companies like IBM in Brazil, then here in Burger King, and also Office Depot. And at some point during my trajectory, I said, I think that's what I want to do next, which is leading not only processes, but managing and leading people. And I found that to be a passion of mine, Andrea, at some point during my career, that I really want to make sure that I empower people to do the very best they can. And that's how leadership came into the picture for me. And I've been in leadership for the past, I would say, at least a decade already. And especially in my current job as a global support director at a company that I work with today, I've been managing global support organizations and customers' relationship at a global scale. So that's really what my passion is. It's both support and also global, right? I love traveling, getting to know new cultures. So mixing them both is the perfect combination for me. So I'm very, very honored and grateful that I've been able to find something that I really like. Yeah.
That's great. So I think anyone who's pretty much in the support space has seen you. If they haven't, what are they doing? I mean, come on now.
I can't not say everyone, but I appreciate you, Andre.
But the one area that I really first started seeing you was with your podcast, The Human Protocol, and I'm curious. What do you feel was the driving force to make you want to create it? Because just from the graphics I see and the topics you touch on, it seems like you do have a passion specifically for one area in this. But I'm curious, where did the name The Human Protocol come about, and what is the thing that you love talking about on your podcast?
Good question. And 2025 for me was a year that it was a catalyst for me in many areas, Andre. The more I started looking at news about AI and automation, and especially in customer support, the area that we're both very passionate about, I started noticing a pattern, which was companies are trying to automate everything for the sake of efficiency, and we are not spending enough time on discussing what's going to happen to our people. And the humanity aspect of what we do, we're still delivering a service from a human being to another human being. And the pattern and my concern was that we are rushing things just for the sake of efficiency and not paying attention to or having enough conversation on what's going to happen to us human beings in the middle of all this. And that's it was a lot of soul searching and say, I think there is a need for us to have these very human conversations while we discuss the technology and everything around AI. but how we human beings are going to navigate through this transformational period. And that's where the idea of the human protocol was born, out of that need that I saw that everybody was talking everything about AI except the humans in the middle. And that's how this idea was born. And it was born as a podcast, as you know, and as you have said, and it has evolved into many other different areas because it's really a labor of love for me. I'm really passionate about everything that it's us humans and how we're gonna navigate, and that's what I want to bring people in from different walks of life to tell us how they're doing things and how they're making sure that the humans are being kept in the middle. And yeah, and that's the idea behind the podcast.
That's really great. I think that's something that a lot of people don't really even like. They think maybe they take for granted. They don't even think about the operator. They don't think about the person actually driving the AI, right? I mean, there's so many tools now for orchestration, automation, you name it, what out there. What do you feel is something that people are maybe taking for granted or ignoring or just ignorant, I guess you could say, about AI right now that they should know about? What is something, in your opinion, this can be in CS or this could be AI as a whole, but what is something you think that people really need to focus on right now?
People need to understand that this is a change. AI and everything around AI is changing very quick. And I still fear that there is a lot of people that they haven't jumped on this in a way that they can even keep up with the pace of AI news and how this will transform their lives. I also think organizations and leaders, we owe to our people an opportunity to be part of the conversation. And this is what I'm championing on the human protocol. We are human beings implementing an AI solutions, right? We still, the human beings, are doing the work. Let them know what's in it for them in the future. If there is anything that is going to change as part of their jobs, have these conversations with them. Communication is key. And for us on this side of the spectrum, we should be asking questions, really. If we are implementing AI, be curious about to learn what are the skills that you need to develop to be successful in the future. Be conscious and be clear that your job will change. What we are doing today, it will be totally different tomorrow. And those that are going to be successful are the ones that are going to be a high availability quotient in a way that they can adapt to changes. And we like it or not, the technology is here, the changes are here, and we need to try to learn how we can leverage the skills that we have today to learn other skills in the future. So that's kind of my message for everyone listening. There is so many opportunities and so many benefits, but you need to put in the work. There's no other way.
I can agree more that I think you put perfectly that people just don't know what's out there, or maybe they don't know how to interact it, or they're just trying to put their head in the sand and think this is going to go away. But obviously it's not. We've reached a point where it's not, oh, AI is nice. I think we reached a space where AI is necessary. But I'd love to get your opinion on this as well, is that I think we're also hitting a spot now that we are being flooded with information, flooded with training. And so when people do actually want to jump in, now they don't know where to look. They don't know where to start it. There's so much information out there. So what would be your advice to people that do want to get in, but they feel like there's just too much information now? Like, where would you suggest they start if they want to start educating themselves?
Yeah, thanks for the question, because the noise is real. On our personal lives and even the professional side as well, everybody has an opinion. Everyone seems to be selling the next thing on AI. And if we that are in tech, we feel like, hey, this is too much. Imagine those that are not in tech, that they don't even know where to start. And that's part of what my main concern is with humanity. Those that are going to be left behind, because this is accelerating so quick that a lot of people are not going to have time, not even to catch up. So I would like to divide my answer in two different areas. One is the personal side. On the personal side, what I advise my friends and family, get started. Pick one of these LLMs. They are free. Start using how you can leverage them. ChatGPT, Gemini, any other, Claude. Start leveraging them to try to make yourself a little bit more useful. And then once you go through it, and as any tool, because at the end of the day, this is also a tool, you're going to find out how you can leverage to be better at what you want to be better. But there is a lot of soul searching, Andrew, that we all have go through and we need to go through, which is who I am. And I think that's one of the most important questions of our times today is, do we know who we are? Because only when we know who we are, then that's when we can build the future self. And that's a question that for a lot of people, there is no answer. And remove AI, remove the technology, remove the future. It has to start with us. And I would like everyone to keep asking this question because it's important. You need to know yourself so you can know what are your limitations, and based on that, you can improve on it. And it's extremely important. The noise and everything, all the news will continue to be there, but it's important for you to know enough who you are, what are your skills, your capabilities, and reach out to those friends and colleagues that you see that they're more engaged with AI to tell you how you can get started, right? And I'm always happy to tell people what are the things that they can get started with, but as a very first step, try to familiarize yourself with any of those applications like ChatGPT or Gemini so you can leverage that for your personal life. And on the professional side, colleagues and especially in support that they may be bombarded with news on how to get started. There are so many people that are involved on this already. Always reach out. Don't let the noise be what's blocking you from reaching and looking for answers. Because sometimes I think because it's so overwhelming that people just stay there and just say, no, this is not for me. As you said, there is no way back. We are on it. The AI wagon or AI train is going fast. And this is not going anywhere. So don't let that to block you from really understanding how you can leverage the potential of what this technology can do for your team, for your organization, for your customers. Because one way or the other, you're going to find yourself having to implement it, or it will be implemented, you like it or not. So that's what I would say, Andrew, to get started with.
That's a great answer. It's very thorough. I like how you just say, just jump in. I think what can be intimidating to some people is they might try it at first and it doesn't give them the results they want. And I think that's also quite a steep learning curve sometimes, is actually asking, like really knowing how to ask ChatGPT, Claude to give you information, because people, I think, make this assumption that these systems can almost read their brains. But when you put a very vague prompt
like magic
in anything, it's going to give you a vague answer. So I think that's also a big learning curve, is learning, people having to learn how to do proper prompts. The next topic I'm curious about is, since you brought up the implementation and whatnot, is what do you see as maybe a misconception or some roadblocks for people when they try to implement either, let's say, a chatbot or something that aggregates all their data within their company? Where do you see the roadblocks for people, companies, when they try to do this?
What I've seen has a main problem nowadays. It's people think this is magic. This is not magic. Okay, return on investment and how you measure it will answer one question: what is the business outcome you want to achieve? AI won't answer that question for you. It will have to be answered by you by your organization, and that work, which is not easy, it needs to be put on. So the main bottleneck sometimes is organizations that don't even know what they want to accomplish. And AI won't answer that question for you. And it's not installing, deploying a solution just because you hear everybody is doing it. And this is like any other technology. You need to understand what you're trying to achieve. And once you have that, then you can put some outcomes that you want to achieve and then measure the outcomes and how you're going to measure for the results. So for organizations and everyone listening today, this work is still needed and will continue to be needed. If you want to be successful in your implementation, the example that you provided, the chatbot, what do you want to achieve with the chatbot? Do you really need a chatbot? Right? It depends. The answer, the solution comes from answering those questions. Installing a chatbot just because you hear people have a chatbot may not be what you need or what your customers want. There are so many other parts of AI that are more than a chatbot that sometimes it's the challenge doesn't align with the solution that you're implementing. And you don't want to waste time for you or your customers. And that's something that I tell everyone. Like anything that we do, any tool, what we do has ramifications on the customer experience. And one thing that you do that goes very wrong, it will be what your customer needs to open the door and leave your company. And that's not something that any of us want. So be very careful, be very mindful, put in the work, understand what is it that your customers need, map it out, see where the skills are in your organization to be successful, get the key people to put in on the project, and based on the outcomes that you want to achieve, that's how you try to understand what the best solution to implement. That would be my piece of advice, Andrea.
It almost sounds like you're actually asking people to do work. I'm shocked right there. I mean, AI is not going to go in and just say.
You would be surprised how many organizations are just rushing through AI without putting the work and answering this very basic question: what do we want to achieve?
So I remember at my first support job, one person there told me garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
And this was back on the on-prem days. So this is a long time ago, right? And that process still holds true today. And I think it's even more important today with our AI systems, because if you feed lots of garbage into your AI, it's just going to spit back whatever it has in its knowledge base. And so if it's not giving you good data, then it's on you as the operator to start training that model and giving better model. And for you, what do you think, where have you seen this misconception or something where that I can just ask it anything and it's going to give me an answer? Like, where have you had to train people that you properly need to give any AI system you're working with good data so it gives you out good data?
Yeah, data is key. And especially in times of AI, it will continue to be the determining factor of how effective and efficient the solution will be. Access to the data and putting, guardrails around it, and having people in the loop checking and making sure you continue to improve, it will continue to be key to this. This, especially when we're talking about solutions like already getting AI agents in the middle of our operations, which people may think, oh, this is too futuristic. This is not happening. This is happening right now. I think this is the year of AI agents. It's not even AI anymore. It's AI agent embedded in organizations, and it's scaling very quickly. With AI agents, and you have more autonomous AI in the middle of this conversation, this is when it's becoming more critical to have people in the loop, to making sure that we're not only checking what it's been doing, but that there is a decision making that's still human, that feels human, because you want to avoid a disaster or something going very wrong. And especially when you're opening the gate especially when you're having customers interacting with AI solution. This is when this become even trickier, and it's more sensitive, because you want to make sure that the solution is keeping the quality that the customer expects. And when we're working with customers, Andre, you may be doing great things, but the first time, and we only need one time for you to make a mistake, that trust will break. And that's what we all need to avoid. Because when trust breaks, it's hard to get it back. And our customers, all customers, right? They are looking to see if what we are implementing and delivering is a system that they can trust. So it's extremely important.
You and at the start of that, you brought up something that I think is very relevant with what news just came out recently about how we need to have a human element monitoring what our AI agents do. I mean, I'm pretty sure you saw the news about AWS and why there was that huge outage, I think back in December. Did you see that news about why that happened?
I did. I don't think I heard the why,
So,
but I remember the instance. Yeah, the news about it.
So this is why specifically what you're talking about with AI agents and why we need a human overlooking what they're doing. What happened was AWS was using an AI agent to monitor its code, and the AI agent looked at the code that a human had created and deemed that that code was not efficient enough. So by itself, it deleted the code in production and decided to rewrite the code, which caused that huge AWS outage. I mean, and talking about trust gone, talking about people upset, and why? Because we did not have a human monitoring what the agent did. So, spot on to what you're saying right there.
I mean, and this issue can be from a very small mistake or issue to one that can cause companies to go bankrupt. Because when mistakes are done at a scale, especially at an enterprise level, it can create outages like this one. Who knows what else? And when something like this happens, Andrea, and you have these solutions embedded in all your operations, who knows where else you can have this issue it's when it's so widespread like this. So it's critical. I'm telling you, it's a very sensitive topic for sure.
So before we, when we were in the planning stages of this discussion, and even before we were talking, you brought up a term that I actually misunderstood, and I didn't know what it was, and so I'd love you to talk about this now, just so I can learn more. When you say people don't understand AI pods, I want you to expand on that a little more. Like, what do you mean, and what are people misunderstanding about it?
Yeah, so this is something I've been playing with and reading a lot lately. Organizations are already starting to shift into an outcome-based organization. Think about, especially support. Support traditionally, for the past 2, 3, 4 decades, who knows when the tier level support started. I really don't have now. I'm curious. I'm going to do some research about it just to see if there's any news about that. But level 1, receive a ticket, cannot solve it, escalate it to level 2, agent detaches, new agent, right? New ownership. Level 2, maybe because SOP says you need to escalate it to level 2. Maybe level 2 has additional skills. Troubleshoot, cannot solve it. Level 3 is the last level. Usually software engineers, people with more, expertise on the technical side. So this has been historically a traditional hierarchy, how we escalate issues, especially in support. Many organizations use it. I think this is already thing in the past. I don't think tier support works anymore for what we need to build for the future. And there's so many inefficiencies in this type of tier support, and customers always complain the lack of ownership. So with AI, and AI exposes everything that is not good about our organization. If AI has something, it will expose really quick what doesn't work in your organization, very quick. And what organizations and actually big enterprises are looking at is these AI first pods that I mentioned to you. And what this is, it's really a way to maximize efficiency, especially on the execution side. So what an AI pod means is dedicated cross-functional teams, okay, that are responsible for an outcome, okay? Not experimentation or anything like that. We have cross-functional team, part of one team. They are responsible for an outcome. Let's say the outcome is to increase customer satisfaction, increase first resolution, increase root cause analysis, depend what the business outcome that you want to put on. And what happened is, because you have a team of experts managing a business outcome, you are focused on executing and maximizing the efficiency to achieve those outcomes. And that's what an AI first pod is, right? It's really a cross-functional team that is outcome based, and you're responsible for tackling issues aligned to the outcomes that you want to achieve. And you are accountable for speed, return on investment, and scaling. Because everything that we do, Andre, should be part of a system. And I think in support, especially in support, sometimes organizations and people develop processes that are not part of a system. And we need more, to think more as part of a system in everything that we develop if we really want to be, future proven. And this is what it is. It's an on-demand AI execution agent, right? Engine. So people focus on achieving outcomes. That's it.
That's really fascinating. I mean, because when you look about it, I mean, I remember back when I was in tier 1, you would have people say, hey, as a project, I want you to find out how we can be more efficient in this area, be more efficient in this area. So it's, to me, AI is taking away a lot of the tier 1 roles where it's answering those low-hanging fruit questions. But now it sounds like it's also drifting over where, these side projects that people used to take on, it's also taking that away. So a topic that I actually that we talked about in my last episode, the roundtable with Kenji and Neil, is that we are seeing a fundamental shift in how support is being structured these days, in terms of how it's a little more difficult for people to come in now. With these tier 1 roles and these tier 1 tasks being taken away, where do you see the future of support heading now that we are integrating AI so much? How are people going to either get into support, or how are people going to change themselves with this ever-changing landscape in support with these pods?
Yeah, good question. And I know that's a concern we all have, especially seeing the trends that we're seeing. And when you look at support as, especially roles, when you look at roles in support as owning tasks, then I can see people concerning about that, about the future of support. But I don't look at support more about owning tasks. I look more at roles now as owning outcomes. And that's especially as what this AI first revolution is about, is outcomes. And if we design our organizations and we map roles to outcomes, then we will continue to have opportunity for people to thrive. And AI will create jobs. And we're just getting started. If you implement an AI solution, you will need people to manage, right? You will need people to be on top of it. So it may not be that we are not going to maybe hiring as many as we used in the past in the traditional old model, but there will be opportunity in the new model for specific skills that are going to be aligned to business outcomes. And this is the mindset shift and the shift that organizations are going to go through. It's an outcome-driven organization. We are leaving that mentality that we own tasks and our roles were just tasks, close tickets. No, we are going to be aligned to outcomes now. And I'm excited about that. I really am, because I'm really tired of hearing about support being looked at and felt that that's all we do, close tickets. We do a lot more than that, but we haven't been able traditionally to show others what we do because we have been so much attached to task instead of business outcomes. And business outcome is really what translates to business results. And this is what it's going to elevate our profession a lot more. So I'm excited about it. But yes, I agree with you. It's concerning the data, but we all need to change that mindset that we're not going to be role per task. We're going to be role attached to outcomes. And based on that and the skills, I believe we're going to have opportunity to grow as these tools will create more tasks, and we're going to be responsible for more outcomes in a way.
It almost sounds like the way you're speaking about this is that we're making almost a fundamental shift in the way people see support, and we are maybe going more towards support operations. I know they'll actually make Neil happy to hear that, but I feel like what you're saying is that yes, we are going to move away from these tasks, and we're going to be focused more on outcomes. And I think support operations will play a huge role in that because the operations team are the ones that are going to define what is success, how do we get that success, and they're going to have to start looking at these specific outcomes that we want to achieve at. So on your teams, have you started to see people try to make that transition themselves or try to maybe push people towards some of these roles where it's more outcome based?
Yes, slowly, right? But if we go back to the AI first part structure, the cross-functional piece that is key to the success of that part include not only technical people but also operational people, and them working together is what's going to be able to the execution to be more efficient. So similar to how I see leadership in the future. You being a manager today, Andrew, that is only managing people is not going to be enough. You need to be manager, a good leader, and you also need to be very tech savvy. There's not going to be a place in the future for you to be a manager and not be involved in technology. We are going to breathe technology since the moment we wake up in the morning. And the outcomes that we want to achieve are going to be based on your knowledge of the technology plus the people that you have in place. And you can only be the best leader that you can if you match them both. Your skills, as a people, right? To make sure that the people understand what is the outcomes that you want to achieve and bring people together. But also your understanding of the technology, how we can leverage that technology in our operations. So things are shifting. And they're going to shift, and everybody's role, that's what I said at the beginning, it's going to change one way or the other. The future will reward those that adapt and are not afraid of taking new roles or part of their jobs changing. That's how I see it.
I think history would say you're well verified and well thought out in that piece. If we look at everything that's come before, in terms of, when new technology came along, there were people who refused to adapt it and they got left behind, whether that be cars, that be cell phones, whatever. When new technology comes in, the people that adapt to it first and the people that respond to it first are generally the people that will have success later on. So I couldn't agree more. So we are getting near the end of our time, so I'm going to ask you one closing question right here.
Sure.
It is for people that are very curious about AI, people that really want to know more about it. What is one blog or one thing that they can read or watch so they can really start to, educate themselves about AI?
I see what you did there, and I thank you. And I know we're approaching the end of it. Really, if you want to learn about AI, before you learn about AI, learn about who you are. That's always going to be my best advice. We're still humans, and we should fight for our humanity. And if you want to know more about AI, you can check us at thehumanprotocolgroup.com and also check the Human Protocol podcast on YouTube, where I'm talking with leaders every week about the future of work, AI implementations, how businesses are going through this AI transformation. And just reach out on LinkedIn as well. You can look me up, Mykel Solomon. I'm always happy to chat with anyone navigating through this time. So, yeah, thank you, Andre. Appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure. And as I like to say to everyone, I think it also holds true for our conversation today. Support is not just the job. Support is a mindset. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.